You know that one annoying neighbor? The one that really gets under your skin? You know that guy with the loud music, sketchy guests, trash everywhere, frat parties almost every weekend? Can I just get some sleep? Please. And no, I don't want to join you guys for another round of beer pong. But none of these annoyances held a candle to what an Italian tribe named the Sabines had to deal with concerning their new guests. Imagine settling in for a peaceful evening, only to find the new guys on the block, the Romans, completely ruining the vibes and busting into your space like they own the place. Literally. And no, they weren't looking at borrowing your sugar either. Yeah, these guys are more about borrowing your women. Yep, and there goes the neighborhood. So last time we left off, the mythological ancestor of the Romans, Romulus, just deleted his twin brother Remus and was now leading the town they had founded. But what to call this new town? Possibly one of the reasons Remus got was because he suggested the city be named after himself. How about Rheims? With Romulus responding, how about anything but that? After establishing the city of Rome, Romulus faced a critical problem. He had way too many dudes and too few women. In Demographics 101, a lack of women really doesn't bode well for the future growth and continuity of the population. The only people who took Romulus's offer to live in his new city were mostly male refugees, exiles, and the dregs of society. I'm not sure this is what Romulus envisioned when he shot out those invites, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. Still, too many bros and not enough women. To address this gender disparity, Romulus and the early form of the Senate, basically a bunch of old guys with money, asked the neighboring tribes if they could, send some women our way so our city won't die out? Possibly. You can trust us, bro. We're good people. Their neighbors answered with a resounding, no. Aside from not wanting to give their womenfolk to these newly arrived bottom feeders, according to Livy, the powerful neighboring Sabines also feared that Rome would become a rival if their population grew too large. Talk about foreshadowing. So Romulus devised a new plan. Since our riz wasn't on point, why don't we just forget about diplomacy and take the women for ourselves? He then invited the neighboring Sabines, along with other Italic tribes, to a block party, a grand festival and games in honor of an agricultural deity named Consus. After his guests were all boozed up, Romulus gave the signal, and the Roman men seized the unmarried Sabine women. This event is often referred to as the rape of the Sabine women. Although the term rape in these types of ancient mythological contexts usually mean abduction, kidnapping, or a seizure, it could entail sexual assault as well. Quite obviously, the abduction led to outrage among the Sabine men, who prepared to wage war against Rome to recover their daughters and sisters. Many months later, the Sabine king, Titus Tatius, led his assault on Rome. A bitter battle ensued, but the conflict reached a turning point when out of absolutely nowhere, the Sabine women, who had by this point become integrated into Roman society and had born children with their captors, intervened. Seeing their brothers and fathers killing and being killed by their new husbands, they placed themselves in between the warring factions, pleading for peace and reconciliation. Their intervention led to a truce and the unification of the Romans and the Sabines into one single community. Romulus, in the end, got what he wanted, but one part of the peace terms was that a Sabine king had to rule jointly with the king of Rome. So Titus Tatius of the Sabines and Romulus of the Romans became co-rulers. Some of the Sabines settled on one of the hills they had previously captured during the battle, which was the Capitoline Hill, one of the 7 hills that made up Rome. The Capitoline would hold major significance in Roman history. This was where the Grand Temple to Jupiter, the king of the gods, resided, the Temple of Jupiter Capitolinus. In modern Rome, this place is host to a killer ancient museum, housing the equestrian statue of the goat Marcus Aurelius, also bits and pieces of Constantine, as well as the she-wolf who suckled Romulus and Remus. there is another myth associated with this hill during the war with the Sabines. The commander of the Capitoline Hill had been Spurius Tarpeia, who led his defense against the onslaught of the Sabines. His daughter, named Tarpeia, motivated by greed, approached the Sabines and offered to open the gates of the citadel in exchange for what they wore on their left arms, which she believed to be their golden bracelets. The Sabines agreed to her terms, but instead of giving her the gold bracelets, they crushed her to death with their shields, which they also carried on their left arms. This act punished Tarpeia for her betrayal. Tarpeia's body was buried on the Capitoline Hill, with the site becoming known as the Tarpeian Rock. This segment of the hill became a place for execution, where traitors were thrown to their deaths, reinforcing this area's association with betrayal and punishment. For the Romans, the story of Tarpeia serves as a cautionary tale about betrayal and the consequences of greed and treachery. It highlights the importance of loyalty to one's people and the severe repercussions of deceit. Her story is often referenced in literature and art as a moral lesson. The historicity of Romulus, the rape of the Sabine women, Tarpeia, and other events from Rome's legendary origins is highly debated among historians. These stories are part of Rome's foundational myths, written by historians like Livy, Dionysius of Halicarnassus, and Plutarch, and serve more as cultural narratives and moral lessons than verifiable historical accounts. The story of the rape of the Sabine women is primarily mythological, with little direct archaeological or textual evidence to support its historical accuracy. It likely reflects an attempt to explain Rome's early population growth and integration of different peoples. But for the historian Ovid, he sees this incident as highlighting Rome's base carnal desires. By abducting women from neighboring tribes, the Romans demonstrated a readiness to violate social norms and kinship ties to ensure the city's growth, no matter the cost, while at the same time indulging in their lusts and their passions. Some historians view the myth as a reflection of historical practices of bride abduction or forced integration common in ancient times. However, there is no direct evidence to confirm that such an event occurred in the manner described in Rome itself. There are coins depicting this event minted in the 80s BC. This was during the Social War. No, not that. A war between Rome and her Italian allies over the latter's right to citizenship. These coins may have been minted by the Roman state to show how assimilation between the Romans and Sabines ended the war, similar to the outcomes of the Social War. Stay tuned for that conflict. The Romans also used the story of Tarpeia's betrayal to reinforce the harsh penalties for disloyalty, further emphasizing a culture built on strict adherence to the state's interests. So Rome began with a brother killing, a mass influx of unscrupulous individuals, and a grand kidnapping of women from a neighboring tribe. Yep, we're really off to a great start here. These legendary narratives underscore a fundamental aspect of Roman culture, an aggressive drive for expansion and assimilation, often at the expense of neighboring communities. These stories depict the Romans as challenging new neighbors who prioritized their growth and survival over peaceful coexistence. These myths serve to justify Rome's expansionist policies and the absorption of other peoples, as we will see displayed many times again. So, in essence, these stories reveal a society that prioritizes growth and dominance, setting a precedent for the imperial ambitions that would later define the Roman Empire. We'll explore more of these themes in the next video, centering on Rome's most powerful and influential neighbor, the Etruscans. And if you ever find yourself to be neighbors to 8th century BC Romans, just remember to hide your kids and not your wife. If you want to know how Romulus founded Rome, then check out this video right here. Like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.